कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 2, Divinity and Divine Service, Text 33. असौ गुणमयैर्भावैर्भूतसूक्ष्मेन्द्रियात्मभिः स्वनिर्मितेषु निर्विष्टो भुङ्क्ते भूतेषु तद्गुणान्. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. Srila Suta Goswami continued, the super soul enters into the bodies of the created beings who are influenced by the modes of material nature and causes them to enjoy the effects of these modes by the subtle mind. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. There are 8,400,000 species of living beings, beginning from the highest intellectual being, Brahma, down to the insignificant ant, and all of them are enjoying the material world according to the desires of the subtle mind and gross material body. The gross material body is based on the conditions of the subtle mind, and the senses are created according to the desire of the living being. The Lord, as Paramatma, helps the living being to get material happiness because the living being is helpless in all respects in obtaining what he desires. He proposes and the Lord disposes. In another sense, the living beings are parts and parcels of the Lord. They are therefore one with the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, the living beings in all varieties of bodies have been claimed by the Lord as his sons. The sufferings and enjoyments of the sons are indirectly the sufferings and enjoyments of the Father. Still, the Father is not in any way affected directly by the suffering and enjoyment of the sons. He is so kind that he constantly remains with the living being as Paramatma and always tries to convert the living being towards the real happiness. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So we are almost towards the end of this particular chapter, Divinity and Divine Service. And as a conclusion of this chapter, Suta Goswami is talking about the transcendental position of the Paramatma. As we saw yesterday, Suta Goswami explained that in the beginning of the material creation, the Supreme Lord entered into this universe for the sake of maintaining this universe. Just like our body is a miniature universe. All the 8 elements that make up the material universe are also present within our body. Just what are the 8 elements? Bhumirapo analo vayuhu kham mano buddhirevacha ahankaram iti yamme bhinna prakriti rashtada. Krishna says in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, earth, water, fire, air, ether, these are the 5 gross material elements. And then mind, intelligence, and false ego. These are the three subtle material elements. 5 plus 3, 8. Totally, these 8 material elements make up this entire material universe. And for the universe to begin functioning, the Lord has to enter into it in the form of the super soul. In the same way, each and every living entity's body, our bodies, they are also made up of these 8 elements. But if the 8 elements, the body has to start functioning, then the Paramatma has to enter this body. That is the meaning. So, just like the Paramatma enters each and every body of the living entity, the Paramatma, Lord Vishnu, Krishna, his plenary portion, enters into the universe also. This is what we had understood yesterday. So, here, today, similar thing is explained here. Asau gunamayair bhavaihi. Asau means that Paramatma about whom we discussed in the previous shloka. Asau gunamayair bhavaihi. Gunamayahi means influenced by the three modes of material nature. Bhavaihi means nature. Uh, Bhuta sukshmendriya atmabihi. Bhuta means to create, created. Sukshma means subtle. Indriya means senses. Atmabihi means by the living beings. Swanirmiteshu nirvishtaha. Swanirmiteshu means Lord's own creation. Swa means by oneself. Nirmana means creation. Nirmiteshu by his own in his own creation. Nirvishtaha enters. The Lord enters. In the previous shloka, the word pravishtaha was used. Pravishtaha also means entering. Nirvishtaha also means to enter within. Right? Nirvishtaha bhungte bhuteshu tat gunan. Bhungte means causes to enjoy. Bhuteshu means in all the living beings. Tat gunan, those modes of material nature. So, what is the meaning of this shloka? That same Paramatma who entered into the universe in the beginning of the creation, that same Paramatma enters into each and every living entity's body, which consists of Bhuta Sukshmendriya Atmanaha. What does this individual living entity's body consist of? It consists of the gross and the subtle material elements, which I talked about just a few minutes ago. And this material bodies of the living entities are Swanirmiteshu. These are created by the Supreme Lord. Actually, these are created by the material energy, Prakriti, under the superintendence of the Supreme Lord. This point we have discussed yesterday also. Uh, what is that? Karmana daiva netrena jantur dehopa pattaye. According to the activities that an individual soul performs, according to his consciousness, under the superintendence of Paramatma, material nature, Prakriti, provides a particular kind of body to that particular jiva. So, what is the cause of our body? Our body is caused by our own desires, actions, and our consciousness. Consciousness is influenced by desires and actions. And according to that consciousness, we receive a particular kind of body. And this body is given to us by Prakriti, by the material nature, which is working under the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this body, which is created by material nature under the guidance of the Supreme Lord, that body is entered. The Supreme Lord enters into that body of every living entity. And what does he do? What kind of body is this? It is Gunamayair Bhavaihi. This body that we have got, we have received, It is gunamayihi. It is influenced by the three gunas constantly. And into such a body, Paramatma enters. We, the living entity, already have entered this body at the time of conception, at the time of birth. Birth means the individual soul enters the body. And along with the individual soul, the Paramatma also enters. Now, both are entering into the same body, which is made up of the influence of the three modes of material nature. But the difference, as we have discussed yesterday, is one personality, one soul is affected by the three modes of material nature, that is, we, the individual soul, whereas the Paramatma, even though he enters this material body, he does not actually get influenced by the three modes of material nature. We enjoy or suffer the different activities and the reactions through this material body, but the Paramatma, even though he is present with us in the same body, he is not affected by our sufferings and enjoyments. Therefore, he is transcendental. Even though he has nirvishtaha, he has entered this material body, Paramatma has got nothing to do with the enjoyment and the sufferings that we are experiencing through this material body. This we have to understand very carefully. So, what does Paramatma do then if he is not taking part in our sufferings and enjoyments? Then what is he doing? So, that is explained in the last line of the shloka. Bhungte bhuteshu tad gunan. Bhungte bhuteshu. Bhungte means he causes the living entity to undergo enjoyment and suffering. Without the Paramatma's sanction, our desires cannot fructify. Our desires cannot be, it cannot be realized. We have so many material desires to enjoy independent of Krishna. But even for the successful execution of those desires, Paramatma's sanction is very much required. So, what is the Paramatma doing sitting within our body? He is witnessing all our actions, he is witnessing our sufferings and enjoyments, and he is also sanctioning our desires. Tena vina trinamapi na chalati. Without the sanction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, none of our desires can be actualized. We cannot realize, we cannot enjoy as per our desires without the sanction of the Paramatma. So therefore, he, Paramatma, bhumte bhuteshu tadgunan. He uh, enters into our body and he causes us to enjoy and suffer various activities. And also we know from the Bhagavad Gita, the Paramatma gives us remembrance and forgetfulness. We have so many material desires that we have contemplated upon in so many lifetimes, and some of those desires we might have forgotten. And it is Paramatma within our heart who reminds us, oh, you had this kind of a desire. Now there is an opportunity. Why don't you go and enjoy? So, this is what Paramatma does, right? Suppose somebody wants to eat sweets and he has a lot of craving for sweets, lot of desire to eat sweets. Now, after desiring so much due to so many other reasons, let's say he has forgotten for time being that he wants to enjoy sweets. But at a suitable time, Paramatma reminds us again, reminds that person again, oh, you had desire to eat the sweets. Now here is an opportunity. Here is a sweet stall, and you already have money. Why don't you go and purchase your favorite sweets and eat it? So it is the Paramatma who is within our heart, accompanying us, the living entities within this material body, who reminds us, it is Paramatma who reminds us of our various material desires. And at the right time, he reminds us and he causes us, bhumte bhuteshu tadgunan. He causes us to enjoy the material desires that we have. So, The point is, even to enjoy in this material world, without the intervention of the Paramatma, it is not possible for us to do anything. Without Paramatma's intervention, without Paramatma's sanction, without Paramatma's involvement, it is not possible for us to do anything in this material world. This we have to realize very much. That means always we are dependent on the Lord. Even for material desires, we are dependent on the Lord. Man proposes, God disposes. This is a saying that Srila Prabhupada quotes in this purport. So we only can desire, but it is the Lord who disposes our desires. At the right time, He causes us to remember our desires and He causes us to act in order to fulfill that desires. So if we understand this carefully, we should see we'll be able to appreciate how merciful the Lord is. Paramatma is so merciful. First of all, we rebelled against the Lord and we have come to this material world. The Lord does not want us to come to this material world because the Lord knows that if we come to this material world, we will get stuck, we'll only suffer. The Lord does not want us. But because we have strongly desired it using our free will, the Lord has reluctantly allowed us to come to this material world. Now, after coming to this material world, all of us, we have come to this material world with one purpose only. What is that one purpose? To enjoy independent of Krishna. Now, even to experience this so called independent enjoyment, Krishna's help is required. That means to experience the so called independent enjoyment, we have to depend on Krishna. Therefore, Krishna enters into our heart. On our own, we cannot enjoy. The soul cannot enjoy material world on its own. So the Paramatma comes, accompanies the soul, accompanies us in this particular body, and he at every moment reminds us. Sometimes he makes us forget, sometimes he reminds us, he gives us intelligence on how to act in this material world to fulfill our desires. So you can see how merciful the Lord is. Even though we don't want to serve the Lord, even though we want to enjoy independent of the Lord, but the Lord is so merciful, He says, don't worry, I will be with you. Even for your so called schemes and plans of independent enjoyment, I will help you. This is Paramatma. How the Lord is so merciful. We have to appreciate this, we have to understand. Only the devotees of the Lord can understand this. Paramatma is very active in our day-to-day life, in every activity, in every desire, in every thinking, feeling, willing. Paramatma is involved. Even for a materialistic person, even for a materialistic person to do anything, Paramatma's sanction is required. Now the difference is between a devotee and a non-devotee, materialistic person. Paramatma for a materialistic person sanctions as per karma, the law of karma. But the moment we try to become devotee of the Lord, Paramatma becomes more active. He starts personally guiding us. The first thing that the Paramatma does, the moment the Paramatma sees that we are interested in Krishna, we are interested to render service to the Lord. The first thing the Paramatma does is he guides us to a bona fide spiritual master. The bona fide spiritual master is the external representation of the Paramatma. He is the expansion of the Paramatma. He is non different from Paramatma. So it is a bona fide spiritual master who teaches us how to surrender to Krishna, how to become a devotee, how to purify our existence and go back to the spiritual world, our original home. And when we become very obedient to the spiritual master's instructions and very seriously we follow his instructions and we make advancement in Krishna consciousness, then we can become more intimately connected with the Paramatma within our heart. So the Paramatma within our heart is called as Chaitya Guru. The Guru within our Chitta, within us, he is called Chaitya Guru. And the spiritual master is the external manifestation of the Chaitya Guru. So both are working in a same way. The Paramatma is also guiding the soul. The Paramatma guides the soul to the bona fide spiritual master, and the bona fide spiritual master trains the devotee how to intimately become connected with the Paramatma in the heart and surrender to Krishna. So, in this way, one is leading us to the other. So, by the combined mercy of Guru and Krishna, our spiritual life, our spiritual journey begins. Right? So, if we desire materially, that also Paramatma will sanction. If we desire to enjoy the material world, various kinds of sense gratification, Paramatma will sanction. But if we desire to go back to Krishna, then Paramatma will facilitate. He will help us. He will give us the required intelligence how to go back to Him. This is stated by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, 10, in the Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, in the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, the last shloka. Krishna says, the last but one shloka, 10.10, he says, one who always engages in my devotional service. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayantite. He says, I will give the intelligence by which you can come back to me. If you are always interested in rendering service to me, if you follow the instructions of the spiritual master seriously and execute your Krishna conscious duties nicely, then I will give the intelligence by which you can overcome this Maya's influence. I will give the influence. I will give you the intelligence by which you can overcome the Maya's influence and come back to me, come back to the Lord. So, this is how the Paramatma and the spiritual master both facilitate the spiritual journey of the living entity. So, we should not think that since the Paramatma has entered our body, which is made up of three modes of material nature, which is influenced by the three gunas, Paramatma has also come under the influence of the three gunas. No, that is not the right understanding. He is always Vibhu, as we have discussed yesterday. He is always transcendental. He is the absolute truth. The Paramatma, situated within the heart of the body of a pig, the pig may be eating stool in the gutter, but the Paramatma situated in the body of the pig also is transcendental. The Paramatma is not directly involved in the activities of the living entity. He only sanctions. So this is very important. So Prabhupada is giving an example. Father and son. So father is affected by the sufferings and enjoyments of his sons. Indirectly he is affected, isn't it? When the son is going through some problem, father also gets a feel of it. He also feels for his son, oh, my son is suffering. But it's not that father is personally going through those sufferings, isn't it? So father is conscious of the sufferings of his son. And in that way, he feels for the son. Oh, my son shouldn't have gone through this problem. He also tries all ways and means to help the son. But the father is just an observer, isn't it? So this analogy Prabhupada is giving, let us read those lines in the purport again. It is said, Prabhupada writes, the sufferings and enjoyments of the sons are indirectly the sufferings and enjoyments of the father. Still, the father is not in any way affected directly by the suffering and enjoyment of the sons. Right? He is so kind that he constantly remains within the living being as Paramatma and always tries to convert the living being towards the real happiness. Yes. So, Father here refers to the Paramatma, Krishna within our heart. He is also affected in a way when we are going, because Krishna is our supreme well-wisher. He is our supreme father. When the jiva is suffering in the material world, is the father happy? Is the father not feeling for us? Yes, he's definitely feeling. He feels. Oh, that's what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Mana shashtani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. Mamaivamsho jivaloke jivabhuta sanatanaha. Mana shashtani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. 15.7 Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, all these jivas are my parts and parcels. They should have actually been with me and they should have actually enjoyed an eternal life full of knowledge and bliss. But right now they're all karshati, struggling in this material world with their six senses, including the mind. And Krishna is so unhappy. Oh, we don't have to suffer in this material world. All that we have to do is we must use our free will and strongly desire, oh, enough of this suffering in this material world. Krishna, please accept me back. Please forgive all my offenses. I have forgotten you. And from many, many lifetimes, I have simply committed sinful activities. I have suffered. I have created displeasure for you. My dear Lord, now I repent for all my activities. I want to come back to you. I have realized that this is not my real home, this material world. And whatever plans and schemes I have adapted to enjoy, these are not giving me real happiness. I have realized this. Now you please accept me back. You are so merciful. You are constantly accompanying me as Paramatma within my heart, life after life. So, right now, I have decided that I will surrender to you. Enough of this game of so called pleasure, enjoyment in this material world. It is only chasing after shadow. There is no real pleasure. Enough of this. By the mercy of my spiritual master, I have understood that real pleasure is in serving you. O Lord, please accept me as your servant. Please accept me under your shelter. Please engage me in your service. So, constantly, we should keep offering prayers to the Lord in the heart like this. And the Lord in the heart, He is very active, especially in the life of devotees who chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. The Lord is very, very active and He is very, very reciprocative. And based on our intense desire, the Lord will surely reciprocate and He will give us the right kind of intelligence to make the right kind of decisions in life so that we can go back to the Lord in this very lifetime. This is the whole process of Krishna consciousness. So, if we become interested in Krishna, Krishna will take special interest in us. Ye yathamam prapadyante tamstathaiva bhajamyaham. Krishna says, to what degree you surrender to me, to that degree I shall reciprocate. That is my position. So Krishna is a perfect gentleman. He does not intrude into our life unless we ask him to interfere. He does not interfere. So when you chant Hare Krishna, what is the meaning of this Hare Krishna mantra? Oh, pleasure potency of the Lord, Srimati Radharani, my dear divine mother. Oh, my dear Lord Krishna, my dear Lord Rama, the supreme enjoyer, please engage me in your seva. Please accept me in your shelter. That is the meaning of Hare Krishna mantra. With each mantra, when you are chanting on the beats, this should be the mood. Oh Lord, please engage me in your service. Oh Lord, please accept me under your shelter. So when you constantly keep appealing to the Lord will surely notice us and He will definitely give us the right understanding, right intelligence by which we can quickly, easily get, get out of this material world. Krishna will give us the intelligence through which we can navigate without getting further contaminated by this material modes of nature. And we can go back to the spiritual world and to lead a eternal life full of knowledge and bliss in the association of Krishna there. So this is a very important point that is mentioned by Prabhupada in this purport. So we should all become very conscious of the Paramatma seated within our heart. The Lord is not far away. He is right there in our heart. Brahma Samhita says, Goloka eva nivasati akhilatma bhutaha. Even though the Lord is situated far, far away in Goloka Vrindavana, in the topmost Vaikuntha planet, but he is also very, very close to each one of us because he is right seated in our heart. Akhilatma Bhutaha. In all the living entities' body, the Lord is accompanying. He's there in our heart as Paramatma. He's there. And all that we have to do is we have to turn towards Him instead of being enamored by external so called beauty and so called happiness of this material world. We should actually turn towards the inner Lord who is seated in my heart. He's there in my heart. He's waiting for life after life. He's waiting when I will turn towards Him. So I have to become conscious of the Paramatma seated within my heart. And how to become conscious? That is taught by the bona fide spiritual master. Through the process of Bhakti Yoga, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, all these activities, when we practice under the guidance, as per the instructions given by the spiritual master, we will become conscious of our eternal relationship with the Lord in the heart. So that is the whole process of Krishna consciousness. So one important point was there in the yesterday's purport. I just missed out saying about it. So here the process of Shravanam is very nicely explained by Prabhupada. So I'll just read a portion of that purport, yesterday's purport. As fire is kindled, this is from verse 32, purport. As fire is kindled from wood by another fire, the divine consciousness of man can similarly be kindled by another divine grace. His divine grace, the spiritual master, can kindle the spiritual fire from the wood like living entity by imparting proper spiritual messages injected through the receptive ear. Therefore, one is required to approach the proper spiritual master with receptive ears only, and thus divine existence is gradually realized. The difference between animality and humanity lies in this process only. A human being can hear properly, whereas an animal cannot. Hmm? So, the verse was about fire is already there within the wood. When you bring another spark of fire, the fire in the wood gets kindled and the fire starts burning. In the same way, uh, how to kindle the divine consciousness, Krishna consciousness, which is right now in a dormant stage within us. Krishna consciousness is there in a dormant stage. We have forgotten, that's all. Right? How to kindle that, how to reawaken that fire of Krishna consciousness, that is possible through the divine grace of the spiritual master. The divine grace of the spiritual master can kindle, rekindle that spiritual fire from within us. And how does he do that? By giving us the spiritual messages, spiritual instructions. Therefore, hearing is the process. The ear is called the gateway to Vaikuntha. The ear, simply by hearing, Parikshit Maharaj went back to Godhead. Simply by hearing, absolutely with full faith, with full attention, with the intention of serving the Lord, with affection for the Lord, if you hear nicely, intention, affection, attention. In this way, if you hear from the spiritual master, like Parikshit Maharaj went back to Godhead in 7 days' time, just by hearing Bhagavatam, we can also hear, we can also go back to Godhead. So therefore, hearing process, Shravanam, is very, very important. Right? Another example given elsewhere is butter is already there within the milk. Right? Milk has butter, but by the right process of churning, the butter comes out of the milk. In the same way, dormant Krishna consciousness, Krishna bhakti is there within us in our heart. But right now we have forgotten. By following the right process of Shravanam and Kirtanam, by the inspirational messages of the spiritual master, we can reawaken our dormant love for Krishna. Another point that Prabhupada says is the difference between animals and humans. What is the difference? Animals cannot hear the Krishna conscious messages from the spiritual master, whereas human beings can hear. Now, hearing doesn't mean just a physical process. Hearing means hearing with the right frame of mind. Oh, I'm stuck in the cycle of birth and death. Oh, my spiritual master is so merciful. He's coming and giving me the method. He's speaking so mercifully. He's speaking the method by which I can get out of this cycle of birth and death. He's so merciful. Let me pay attention to what Prabhupada is saying. This is the right, this is called hearing. This an animal cannot do. So Prabhupada says, if we don't pay attention to the messages given by the bona fide spiritual master, we are no better than animals. So therefore, human beings, human life can be fully utilized only through the process of Shravanam, hearing about the Lord from a bona fide spiritual master. So let us go to the next shloka, shloka number 34. भावयत्येष सत्त्वेन लोकान् वैलोकभावनः लीलावतारानुरतो देवतिर्यन्नरादिषु. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaраvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. Srila Sutta Goswami continued, thus the Lord of the universes maintains all planets inhabited by demigods, men and lower animals. Assuming the roles of incarnations, he performs pastimes to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. There are innumerable material universes, and in each and every universe, there are innumerable planets inhabited by different grades of living entities in different modes of nature. The Lord Vishnu incarnates himself in each and every one of them and in each and every type of living society. He manifests his transcendental pastimes amongst them just to create the desire to go back to Godhead. The Lord does not change his original transcendental position, but he appears to be differently manifested according to the particular time, circumstances, and society. Sometimes he incarnates himself or empowers a suitable living being to act for him. But in either case, the purpose is the same. The Lord wants the suffering living being to go back home, back to Godhead. The happiness which the living beings are hankering for is not to be found within any corner of the innumerable universes and material planets. The eternal happiness which the living being wants is obtainable in the kingdom of God. But the forgetful living beings, under the influence of the material modes, have no information of the kingdom of God. The Lord, therefore, comes to propagate the message of the kingdom of God, either personally or as an incarnation, either personally as an incarnation or through his bona fide representative as the good Son of God. Such incarnations or sons of God are not making propaganda for going back to Godhead only within the human society. Their work is also going on in all types of societies, amongst the demigods and those other than human beings. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, second chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Divinity and Divine Service. So, this is the last shloka of this chapter. So, Sutta Goswami is concluding this chapter with the information that the Lord appears as various incarnations in human society, in demigod society, in animal society, in order to create a desire within all the living entities to go back home, back to Godhead. So let us see this shloka. Bhavayati, bhavayati means to maintain, maintains, the Lord maintains. Yeshaha, yeshaha means all these. Satvena, in the mode of goodness. The Lord, as I mentioned before, the Lord is situated in pure goodness, but for the sake of maintenance of this material world, he accepts the material mode of goodness. Because goodness, among the three modes of material nature, it is goodness which is required for maintenance and sustenance of this material world. So, bhavayati eshaha satvena. So, through the material, the living entities who are situated in this material world, the Lord maintains them. Hmm? The Lord maintains them. Bhavayati yesha satvena lokan vai loka bhavanaha. Lokan means all over the universe. Loka bhavanaha means the master of all the universes. The Lord is the Loka Bhavana, the master of all the universes. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, shloka number 29, he says, Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. So all the lokas, all the material universes and planets within them are all controlled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They're all maintained by the Lord. They're all owned by the Lord. So therefore, the Lord comes to this material world time and again in various incarnations in order to maintain these living entities. Leela Avatara Anurataha. So these are called Leela Avataras. He performs pastimes, the incarnations which perform superhuman pastimes. So he assumes various transcendental forms time and again. He comes and he performs his Leelas. For what purpose? He performs these Leelas for the sake of maintenance of this material world. Deva Tiryan Naradishu. In all these different kinds of societies, Deva, demigod, Tiryan, animals, and Naradishu, human society. So, in all these, the Lord comes amidst all these different kinds of creatures and He maintains all of them. He performs various roles of incarnations and performs pastimes to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. Those who are situated in the mode of pure goodness, they can go back to the Lord being attracted by these different incarnations. That is the meaning of the shloka. So the key word is Leela Avataranu. So the Lord has got different kinds of avatars. Avatars means incarnations. As I said, avatara literally means to descend down from the spiritual world onto this material world. There are different kinds of incarnations. So here, Sutta Goswami is going to talk about Leela avatars. Leela avatars means particular incarnations who have got particular functions to perform, particular leelas to perform. And all these leela avatars are scheduled incarnations. They're all going to come at a particular time and they're going to perform various leelas. Why they are called leelas? Because these are not like our activities which we do in this material world under the influence of the three gunas. For the Lord, the activities of the Lord are called Leela. Leela means something which he does without extraneous efforts. Just like Krishna lifted Govardhana hill when he was 7-year-old boy in Vrindavan. Now, when he lifted the Govardhana hill, it was not that he was feeling tired. It was not a difficult task for him. Just like a small child lifts a ball or he lifts a flower effortlessly, the Lord lifted the Govardhana hill. That is called as Leela. So something which he does as a pastime effortlessly, and of course, nothing is impossible for the Lord. Therefore, every activity of the Lord is his Leela. So, this Leelas of the Lord, why does the Lord perform these Leelas? Yes, he comes to this material world because he is so affectionate towards all of us. We have forgotten him and we are in this material world and we are going through the sufferings because of our own karma. And the Lord is so unhappy to see this. The Lord does not want us to suffer in this material world. Therefore, the Lord comes here to this material world and performs wonderful activities or leelas so that our attention goes towards Him. We are all having, Maya has nicely captured our attention in this material world towards sense enjoyment. So, the purpose of the Lord's incarnations as Leela avatars is to grab our attention, to divert our attention from material things towards Himself, towards the Lord. Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritangamaya. This is the purpose of the incarnations. The Lord performs these pastimes in various incarnations to draw our attention from Asat to Sat. Asat means temporary, Sat means permanent. From temporary reality of this material world, the Lord wants us to focus on eternal bliss which is awaiting us once we go to the spiritual world. So the Lord wants to take us back to Godhead. That is why He comes time and again and performs various leelas in this material world. Now, one important thing to note is that even though the Lord appears in various forms, just like He appeared as a Varaha Deva, He appeared as a wild boar to lift the Mother Earth from the Garbhodaka ocean, or He appeared as Matsya, a fish, in order to uh, protect the Maharaj, the Manu, Satyavrata, and all the Saptarishis from the great deluge. He also appeared as Kurma when it was required during the Samudra Manthana. So when he appears in all these forms, fish or tortoise or boar, we should not think that, oh, now the Lord has become a fish. Oh, any fish of this material world. No. Lord has assumed the form of a fish. Keshava Dhruta Meena Sharira. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Even though he accepts a Meena Sharira, that Meena, that fish, is not an ordinary fish of this material world. He is still transcendental. He is still Jagadisha. He is still the master of this material universe. This is very important to note. So all his Leela Avatara forms, they are all transcendental. They are all Satchidananda Vigraha, like the original personality of Godhead Krishna. We should not think these forms are all inferior. We should not think that these forms have come under the influence of the three modes of material nature. No. The Lord does not change his original transcendental position. But according to time, place, and circumstances, he appears in different forms, in different incarnations. And whichever form the Lord accepts, all those forms are eternal forms. These are all transcendental forms. Right? Another thing that Prabhupada mentions in the purport is sometimes the Lord incarnates himself, whereas sometimes he empowers a suitable living entity to act for him. So when the Lord personally incarnates and performs leelas in this material world, he is called Leela Avatara. When the Lord empowers another living entity to perform some very important task, then he is called, that is called as Shakti-avesha Avatara. Shakti-avesha. Shakti Avesha. The Lord empowers his Shakti and he gives his Shakti to an ordinary living entity, empowers him and sends him to this material world to perform some superhuman activity. That is an example, that is called Shakti-avesha Avatar. Vyasadeva is a Shakti-avesha Avatar. So Vyasadeva is a living entity who has been empowered by the Supreme Lord, Krishna, to perform the Herculean task of compiling the Vedic scriptures, of composing Mahabharata and Srimad Bhagavatam and all the other Puranas. So this task cannot be done by an ordinary person and unless he is empowered by the Supreme Lord. Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tara Pravartana, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. Without being specifically empowered by the spiritual energy of Krishna, it is not possible for an ordinary person to glorify the Lord or to preach the holy name of the Lord all over the world. So, therefore, a bona fide spiritual master is also a Shaktya-vesha avatara of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada, for example, our own beloved spiritual master, Vishwa Guru Srila Prabhupada. He traveled all over the world and he did something which was unheard of, which had not been done by anybody in the past in the history of mankind. He went to those places where practically people had no idea about who is Krishna, what is Bhagavad Gita, what is Bhakti. And he went to such places which were infested by the sinful activities of Kali, and he delivered the holy name of the Lord to all such sinful persons and made them first class devotees of the Lord. So, this is something which an ordinary person cannot do unless he is empowered by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada is a Shaktya Vesha avatara of the Supreme Lord. So, therefore, in either case, whether the Lord personally comes or he empowers another jiva to come and act in this material world and perform some superhuman activity, the purpose is the same. What is the purpose? The purpose is to take back the suffering living entities back to home, back to Godhead, to attract our attention towards the Lord. So, the Lord comes, for example, the Lord came as Vamana, and with his two footsteps, he covered the entire material world. Now, this is something an ordinary person cannot think of doing. So, when we hear such pastimes of the Lord, we get attracted. Oh, the Lord is so powerful. With just two footsteps, he covered the entire material universe. So, that's an opportunity for us to glorify the Lord. Oh, the Lord is so great. We all know God is great, but how great He is, if we want to know, then we have to study the activities performed by these avatars of the Lord. And Srimad Bhagavatam is full of such wonderful narrations and descriptions of the wonderful activities performed by the various incarnations of the Lord. Bhagavatam says, Harer Adbhuta Karmanaha. The activities of Lord Hari and his incarnations are all Adbhuta, wonderful. We are struck with wonder. Oh, one boy came, he was a Vamana, a dwarf, and he came and he measured the whole universe with his two footsteps. This is so wonderful. How great my Lord is. So, the Lord performs these activities in order to draw our attention towards Him, in order to develop a desire in us to go back to Godhead. Oh, the Lord is coming from there and He's performing these Leelas here. That means He must be performing Nitya Leelas in the spiritual world. Oh, I want to see all the Leelas of the Lord every day, every moment. Oh, how can I do that? Only when I go back to Godhead, I can witness all the Leelas of the Lord. Oh, let me go and uh, let me develop a desire to go back to Godhead. And for that, I have to practice Krishna consciousness, taking instruction from a bona fide spiritual master. So, in this way, the incarnations of the Lord are not only they are coming to perform wonderful activities to protect the devotees and to kill the demons, but these incarnations are also performing these wonderful activities to entice us, to attract us, to develop in us a desire to go back to the spiritual world. So, the Lord is also showing, especially in the form of Krishna when he appeared 5,000 years ago, he displayed his loving pastimes. And every living entity in this material world is searching after love. but we are searching after love in a wrong place, in the wrong way. So when we hear about the loving pastimes of Krishna, we get attracted to him. Oh, I'm actually looking for love. Here is Krishna, the ocean of love. Oh, let me go back to Krishna and I can enjoy real love in his association. So, the pastimes of the Lord in his various incarnations are meant to actually create a desire in us to go back to the spiritual world. And one last point that Prabhupada mentions is the Lord appears not only in human society, he also appears in demigod society, just like he appeared as the son of Aditi and Kashyapa, as the younger brother of Indra. He appeared as Vamana. So that is called Upendra. That's why he's called Upendra. Upendra means the younger brother of Indra. That is referring to Vamana Deva. That's an incarnation in the demigod society. And then he appeared in animal society also. Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, these are all incarnations in the animal society. So, all these different incarnations, the Lord appears in different societies and to attract the attention of different kinds of living entities, the Lord appears. And the next chapter is all about the wonderful descriptions of various incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A list of 24 incarnations of the Supreme Lord is given in the next chapter, and one shloka describes one particular incarnation of the Lord. And of course, in other cantos of Bhagavatam, detailed description, detailed activities of many incarnations will be discussed. But here in the first canto, in the third chapter, the chapter itself is called Krishna is the source of all incarnations. So in this chapter, we shall see various kinds of incarnations of the Lord, prominent incarnations. Of course, it is not possible to list out all the incarnations of the Lord because the Lord's incarnations are unlimited. But the prominent incarnations, 24 in number, they are going to be discussed in the third chapter, which we are going to begin in the next session. So, with this, we come to the end of the second chapter of the first canto of Bhagavatam, that is Divinity and Divine Service. And as I mentioned, this is a very, very important chapter because it contains wonderful fundamental concepts of Krishna consciousness. There are two aspects of Krishna discussed in Bhagavatam. One is called the Tattva, the other one is called the Leela. Tattva means the truth about the Lord, Leela means his pastimes. Both are important. One has to understand both Tattva and Leela. So far, in the first two chapters, we understood the Tattva, especially in the second chapter. We understood some basic principles of Krishna consciousness. Special stress is given to Shravanam, hearing about Krishna, his wonderful activities. So that is the Tattva of the Lord. In the third chapter, we are going to see a glimpse of the Leelas of the Lord in his various incarnations. And Krishna says in the fourth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. Krishna says, if you understand the transcendental nature of my appearance and my activities in this material world, you will not have to take birth again in this material world, but you will come back to me. So therefore, with a lot of excitement, we will be beginning the third chapter of the first canto of Bhagavatam. I hope you're all going to be eager to hear about the different incarnations of the Lord that we are going to discuss in the next session onwards. So we'll stop here. Any questions, any comments anybody has quickly? We can take one or two questions. Somebody who has not generally asked questions will give first preference because other devotees also should open up because you're also hearing every day. When you're hearing, there must be some doubt, some question. or at least some point of learning you want to share, how you are feeling attending these sessions in one or two sentences. Please feel free to share. And anyway, by default, we have our Ratnadeep, who is always eager to ask questions. Yes, Ratnadeep.
Okay, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
So there are
Krishna.
different types. Yeah, there are different types of incarnations you
Yeah.
mentioned. So is it that the Shakti Avesha Avatara, this particular incarnation, is inferior to Lila Avatara? Means anyway, because the
No,
way
no,
Lila Avataras are celebrated, the Shakti Avesha Avataras are not that much celebrated, isn't it?
no, no, no. The moment the Lord's empowerment comes to a living entity, he performs activities in par with the Lord. So there is no difference between the Lord, Leela avatars, and avatars, Shakti Avesha avatars, right? As
Okay,
long
yeah,
as the
because
inca,
see,
Hmm.
hmm.
Yeah, tell me.
Just an example, you take the Lord Narasimha, Lord Varaha, Lord Krishna, Lord Rama, we see so many temples dedicated to them. But we don't
Yeah,
see that many temples dedicated to Vedvyasa or Parashurama or King Prithu or
yeah,
King Rishabdeva. We don't see
Hmm.
so much celebration about them, right? Celebration, yeah, so much of glorification of them or their temples or, yeah, understanding, right? Right.
Yes, yes. Buddha is also a Shakti Avesha avatar of the Lord, and you see a lot of people following Buddha. Of course, Bhagavatam says Buddha appeared to bewilder the atheists. He said, "There is no God, but you worship me," he said. In that way, in a roundabout way, he made them somehow worship Krishna, worship him. That is a one kind of a Shakti Avesha avatara. But among the Dashavatar, so in fact, we have something called Dashavataras, right? So 10 prominent incarnations. Generally, people think Krishna has only 10 incarnations because Dashavataras have become famous. So, due to some reasons, some incarnations become more popular. Some incarnations are not so well known, but that does not mean the not so well known incarnations are inferior in any way compared to the well known incarnations. And in fact, even within the Dashavataras, also some of them are more favorite. You know, most popular among all the incarnations is Krishna or and Lord Ramachandra. So just because Ramachandra is more uh, popular, that doesn't mean Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, all these are less powerful. Ramachandra is more powerful. Not like that. Power wise, all the incarnations are same, but certain incarnations, especially when the Lord comes and performs Leelas as a human being, as Krishna, as Rama, they are more relatable to people. They are more connecting to the people, human society. Therefore, they are more prominent. That is that is what I feel.
But see, in this way, if you see Lord Narasimha, I feel is more famous than Parashurama. We see so many Narasimha temples, especially in South India, isn't it? But
Yes, yes.
Parashurama temples, we don't see many, or we don't hear much about him.
No, there are Parashurama temples also, especially in the western part of our country. It is called Parashurama Kshetra itself. So Narsimhadev, you see, his mood is giving protection to the devotees. So therefore, everyone in this material world is out of fear. Some of the other fear is there. They need protection. So therefore, Narsimhadev is widely worshipped, isn't it? So
Yes, yes.
like that. So based on and all these forms are all transcendental. Hmm? And in this chapter, third chapter, we shall see how all these forms are transcendental, but the origin of all these forms is Krishna. Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam, that we shall see in the third chapter. Okay, so thank you so much. We'll close here. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you.